Mrs. Vernon to Lady de Courcy.
Churchill. My dear Mother, I return you Reginald's letter, and rejoice with all my heart that my father is made easier by it. Tell him so with my congratulations, but between ourselves I must own it has only convinced me of my brother's having no present intention of marrying Lady Susan. Not that he is in no danger of doing so 3 months hence. He gives a very plausible account of her behaviour at Langford. I wish it may be true, but his intelligence must come from herself, and I am less disposed to believe it than to lament the degree of intimacy subsisting between them, implied by the discussion of such a subject. I am also sorry to have incurred his displeasure, but can expect nothing better while he is so very eager in Lady Susan's justification. He is very severe against me indeed, and yet I hope I have not been hasty in my judgment of her, poor woman, though I have reasons enough for my dislike. I cannot help pitying her at present, as she is in real distress, and with too much cause. She had this morning a letter from the lady with whom she has placed her daughter, to request that Miss Vernon might be immediately removed, as she had been detected in an attempt to run away. Why or whether she intended to go does not appear, but as her situation seems to have been unexceptionable, it is a sad thing, and of course highly afflicting to Lady Susan. Frederica must be as much as 16, and ought to know better. But from what her mother insinuates, I am afraid she is a perverse girl. She has been sadly neglected, however, and her mother ought to remember it. Mr. Vernon set off to town as soon as she had determined what should be done. He is, if possible, to prevail upon Miss Summers to let Frederica continue with her, and if he cannot succeed, to bring her to Church Hill for the present, till some other situation can be found for her. Her ladyship is comforting herself meanwhile by strolling along the shrubbery with Reginald, and calling forth all his tender feelings, I suppose, on this distressing occasion. She has been talking a great deal about it to me. She talks vastly well. I am afraid of being ungenerous, or I should say too well, to feel very deeply. But I will not look for faults. She may be Reginald's wife, heaven forbid it. But why should I be quicker-sighted than anyone else? Mr. Vernon declares that he never saw deeper distress than hers on receipt of the letter, and is his judgment inferior to mine? She was very unwilling that Frederica should be allowed to come to Church Hill, and justly enough, as it seems a sort of reward to behaviour deserving very differently. It was impossible to take her anywhere else, and she is not to remain here long. "It will be absolutely necessary," said she, "as you, my dear sister, must be sensible, to treat my daughter with some severity while she is here. A most painful necessity, but I will endeavour to submit to it. I am afraid I have often been too indulgent, but my poor Frederica's temper could never bear opposition well. You must support and encourage me. You must urge the necessity of reproof if you see me too lenient." All this sounds very reasonably. Reginald is incensed against the poor silly girl. Surely it is not to Lady Susan's credit that he be so bitter against her daughter. His idea of her must be drawn from the mother's description. Well, whatever may be his fate, we have the comfort of knowing we have done the utmost to save him. We must commit the event to an higher power. Yours ever, Catherine Vernon.